Good morning and welcome to our next edition of Tourismus Namibia, the live broadcast that we bring you each Saturday morning. My name is Frank Steffen, as you can see on the screen there. I'm the editor of Tourismus Namibia, the monthly magazine, and then obviously I'm your presenter on this show. So this week, once again, we bring you topics, obviously, and a few news, and a couple of holiday ideas under the category destinations. And then last but not least, we've combined it a bit with destinations this week. We spoke to somebody who we also show the lodge of under To The Point. So up next it's topics, but before we go there, let's just quickly have a look at who pays our rent. Welcome back, and topics, as we said, I've had a look at 4 items which I thought would be of interest to you as well. First and foremost, Recon Africa, obviously still an ongoing thing, have been making some waves. This week there's been a petition that was handed over to the Ministry of Cooperation in Germany, that was in Berlin, and the organization Deutsche Umwelthilfe, which is really an environmental beneficiary organization. They organized the petition to be handed over on behalf of Ina Maria Shikongo, who's part of Frack Free Namibia, and obviously Fridays for Future. Now the gentleman on the right is Israel Kaunachike, and the reason why I asked those photos, Andy Georgio actually sent them to me. It was quite a funny thing. I mean, Israel Kaunachike is one of these genocide activists in Germany. So obviously it's a contentious issue, but I felt it was quite sad that the ministry was not prepared to accept the petition, formally accepted, that is, because Israel Kaunachike was part of the delegation. I mean, I don't know why politics always have to play such an important role in all of this. At the end of the day, he's one of the people who obviously doesn't agree that his homeland once again becomes a part of a problem, and Recon Africa is a problem at this stage, because in this week they actually made a further announcement as to what they all plan on doing, and that they're doing everything right. And we've been hearing this for months and months now, but essentially if you look at it, it's always press releases that are given out overseas by people like Craig Steinke and those people. We've never seen them in Namibia. Well, we've only seen them on photos. We see them on adverts. Adverts, for example, earlier in the week, we saw that they had, to the end of last week, where they had that big ad that told that they were doing everything right, and you had the regional governor who was also maintaining that each and every letter of the law is being followed. Yet at the same time you found that the Minister of Agriculture didn't agree, because the Minister of Agriculture is also responsible for water affairs, and he said they don't even have a permit to make use of that water. Neither to use it nor to drill boreholes for water. So whenever Recon Africa so far has been telling us, don't worry, we're doing everything by the book, just shortly afterwards we find that they're not doing it. And so when there's a petition as serious as the one that was now addressed to the Ministry of Cooperation in Germany, I find it sad that it's being distorted by issues like the genocide issue, which is important, but in this case Israel Kaunachike simply added his voice to those people who wrote the petition, because that petition was essentially put up by the indigenous people of Namibia, and you know, Israel is part of that. So yeah, well, this thing, the plot thickens, as they say. Recon Africa really is not adhering to the rules, and I've seen it time and again. I've looked at their contract this week, and their contract, and I actually wrote about it in the Allgemeine Zeitung, the German daily. The contract was quite clear that they would have 4 years' time to do initial seismic and whatever measurements, quite a whole list of stuff that they were supposed to do in line with their exploration activities. That agreement was dated 2015, and they had 4 years' time. So not at the end of 2019, but at the end of 2020, they suddenly rush it, and we see all types of things happening without proper EIAs having been in place beforehand, without certificates to commence having been in place beforehand, without them being allowed to actually occupy land, which is part of our law in this country, especially in communal areas. And all these things have not been in place, but yet we once in a week read in the newspaper that they're abiding by the law, and they're not. So let's not talk nonsense there. Okay, better news on another front, which I feel is a bit of a tourism news as well. Namibia's got quite a number of old churches, whether you go to Ovambuland or you go down to Keetmanshoop. All those churches of missionaries built very many years ago. And one of the older churches is in Swakopmund, the evangelical church there. And there was an agreement between the German embassy now to have the Valka organ, that's the one you see on the top picture there, to have it repaired and restored and properly set up again, which is nice. You can clearly see the church is in a good condition. If you look at the photos thereafter, you will quickly see this is like way back. I mean, Swakop hadn't been properly developed yet, and it has always been a beautiful church. So to me, it's quite important that we sort of make sure that these buildings remain in order, which clearly it is being done, and to also make sure that these sort of organs are in place as well and that they were functional. I thought that, yeah, I'm quite sure a couple of tourists would be interested in visiting old churches. The Christuskirche in Windhoek is just one of those old buildings, and it's nice to know that the stuff is being kept in order. Then on another front, in Swakopmund, it has been going on for a while. Swakopmund is probably the only town in Namibia where the airfield is actually in private hands. It's not a governmental property, and it doesn't belong to the Namibian Aviation Company. And there was always talk that they would force these people to leave those grounds and move the whole airfield for quite a number of reasons. And they finally decided, no, it will be too expensive to move them, because they've obviously got to repay the people who've invested in that area. And so the airfield is going to stay, and instead of that, they will now change its layout a bit and improve on it and develop it a little bit more. The idea being essentially to also further tourism opportunities and offers. So quite good news that airfield is there to stay, and instead of just moving in and building a new airfield just many kilometers away, they rather just spruce up the whole site and make it better for all of us. And speaking of airfields, the next photo is of a first Lufthansa flight landing at the Hosea Kutako airfield outside Windhoek, 30 kilometers away from Windhoek. It's the first time that Lufthansa has been landing for 20 years. And what's actually happening is they're filling in for Eurowings during the months of June and July. And then after that, the subsidiary of Lufthansa called Eurowings Discover, they will take over these flights again as from August, and from there onwards it will be back to Eurowings. But like I said, it would then be Eurowings Discover. So clearly things are happening now that Air Namibia is part of the recent history really. But I suppose we will see over time, as and when the tourism sector picks up again, I'm quite sure you will see different and newer options and bigger options, possibly going via Joburg again. We'll not know at this stage. But like I said, there are many of these smaller organizations already that are already covering Namibia, covering regional flights. So those of you who come to visit Namibia, there's ample opportunity to make use of air transport instead of always driving everywhere. Those were my topics for the week. Up next, we've got destinations. Welcome back. Yes, destinations, really my favorite part of the show in any event. And because it's my favorite part, but not necessarily yours at this stage, because you always have to look at me and make up and make peace with the fact that I'll be presenting. What we're going to do in the near future, we've already started setting up people, is I feel that the show needs to be able to address not only people of my age or necessarily of German-speaking descent, but also people coming from Namibia, coming from all over the world. And so what we're now doing is we're bit by bit roping in a couple of my colleagues so that we will jointly present the show, give different angles, not only Frank Steffen's opinion, but also those of other people, give different ideas, have different inputs, so that hopefully we'll cover the broader spectrum of tourism. So that's due to happen in the near future. And as part of that, we've already set up quite a number of my colleagues of Namibia Media Holdings, and they will now take turns in presenting from their various sites all the types of destinations and establishments that they've got in their areas, so that we don't only cover Windhoek, but we've got those in the north. I've got a couple of colleagues up in the north in Ovamboland, Kaokaland. We'll try and cover Damaraland. We'll have the central parts of Namibia, but as well up in Kavango, we've got Kenya Kambowe, who always works with me. And so in the south, we've got the same. So the idea is really to give you different angles and show you Namibia not always from my viewpoint, but also from those of my colleagues. Hopefully that way we'll touch on different destinations that are affordable for your pocket, because not each and every one of us has the same size of income, and then obviously the idea is to have a fit that suits you. So just as a first introduction, what we've got today is Tambuti Lodge. It's up in Rundu. Kenya Kambowe contributed this part in the photos and videos. So it's his first try at this. There you can see Tambuti Lodge. It's right next to the Okavango River. It's actually on the banks. You can, from this board down, you walk no more than 60 meters to the river. And he compiled this little video here just to show you more or less how green it is up there. Okavango obviously is anything but a desert, even though it is part of the Kalahari outland, I'd say. The Kalahari literally ends only as you approach Ovamboland, and this is clearly Kavango, the Kavango regions right up to the river. And the Tambuti Lodge is a very nice stay in Rundu itself. It has all the amenities that you would wish for. Typically for a night, if you just want to stay over for the night, but at the same time, you can also use it as your base if you visit different areas in the immediate surroundings of Rundu. And it is as good accommodation for a tourist and visitor as it is for a business person. So this is in the middle of town. Well, not really in the middle of town. It's right on the border of the Okavango River, but it is centrally situated in Rundu itself. And you can see it's a really beautiful lodge. I've stayed there before, and I can certainly recommend you making use of it. As you can see there, the pool is reserved for residents only. I mean, this is obviously because it's not a public pool. And this is typically where you have your breakfast and where you can meet up with friends or colleagues or people. And this is the other side of it. They obviously allow you to have your conference there. They've got all the facilities that you need so that you can really make a success of whatever you are planning to do. These are just some of the little byproducts that they're selling. There you can see marula oil and so on, which is nice. This is really what you often find in Namibian lodges, that they try and include some local products and make sure that everybody feels that they're included while there is a business opportunity on the local front. This is Elizabeth Hilger, and we've decided we'll have a little interview later under To The Point, so more on the front of Tambuti Lodge there. That's Elizabeth obviously just trying to show us exactly the breakfast that they're offering. And like I said, it's a very nice little lodge. You can really rest up there. If you've come from the side of Vic Falls, if you're still going there, this is the ideal spot to go to. Like I said, it's in the middle of the town, so it's not far. You can actually leave your car there and you can walk to town and have a look at the various market stands that are in town. Plus there are quite a number of other things you can do. There's some people who actually offer river trips and quite a number of further lodges and visiting places that you can have. As you can see here, nice little bungalows. These photos are actually snatched from their internet site, because believe it or not, Kenya told me he couldn't go inside because they were fully booked. Now, I feel that's really good news in this time. It's nice to see that business is picking up for these people, really it is. Right, and up next, Mushara Lodge. Mushara has just been taken over by EOS Group, so quite interesting, and they sent us a little press release in that regard. But I think for the purposes of this show, really the important part is you've got 4 items in Mushara. You've got you know, the original lodge is situated 8 kilometers away from the Van Lindequist gate. That's the gate that comes as you come up from Tsumeb and you approach Etosha and go to Namotoni. That's on the eastern boundary there. And Mushara Lodge is an ideal overnight stop for visitors, or, you know, of the game reserve, if you would like to make use of a private game reserve instead of the facilities in the park itself. And it's got 10 spacious chalets and a family unit, a triple room and 2 single rooms. And the name is actually derived from the purple pot terminalia tree, which grows abundantly in that area. So Mushara Lodge is the original establishment of what they call a collection, and they refer to it as the Elegant Lady. And yeah, the comfort to be found whilst relaxing in luxury will offer welcomed relief to the day's game viewing activities. That's how they sell it. This is already part of the Mushara Bush Camp here. They also offer game drives and what have you. Mushara Bush Camp offers a down-to-earth tented bush experience. it is ideally suited as an exceptionally affordable base for independent travelers, and that's how they sell it. But it is true. It is the ideal thing for families to go there and enjoy Etosha and would like to have a good break in the evening and enjoy this sort of atmosphere, which I certainly do. I love camping, and I also love this sort of glamping is more like it in this case. And it accommodates 32 guests and 12 children in these custom-made tents. Yeah, and this is the Mushara Outpost. It's more traditional sort of look, like they said, modeled on the welcoming elegance of an African homestead. Mushara Outpost offers a superb combination of splendid accommodation and exquisite cuisine and personal service. So it's a bit of a different one, different look. They've got space for 16 guests in those custom-made tents that you saw earlier. And as you can see, it's a totally different look and feel, but very nice. Something totally different. Here you can see it, and I can just imagine it's actually on the banks of a Omuramba, close by. This here is the Mushara Villa. As they say, with individuality in mind, only 2 exclusive villas are available. So they're designed to create an elegant retreat from the strains of modern day life. This is obviously upmarket and offers an aura of tranquility, as they say. But at the end of the day, all of them are very close to Etosha. It's only 8 kilometers to the gate, like I said earlier. And as they write on their internet page, whether it's your memories of relaxing in the private plunge pool or lounging in the sala that's immersed in bush, Villa Mushara is a place that will leave you yearning for more long after your departure. And clearly you can see this is upmarket. And that's the nice thing about Mushara. They've got something for every taste and for every size of income. And I mean, that's really what it is. And I feel especially now after COVID, you see more and more that lodges have returned back to basics where they also allow our people to enjoy it as much as anybody else who's got, like I said, a better income and would like to enjoy luxury. Nothing wrong with that, but it's nice to know that there are different opportunities for different people. So those were our destinations for today. Up next, we've got To the Point.
If you're feeling how I'm feeling and you know I won't stop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. If I got it and you want it and you'll never let it drop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. I will ride for you, baby, even die for you. When I'm loving you, but my heart don't stop.
Yeah, welcome back. And like I said earlier, the idea is that as we proceed from here onward, I will entice more and more of my colleagues to really tell you more about our country, so that you've got different points of views, different ideas. And like I said earlier, Kenya actually pointed out Tambuti, and while he was there, he actually spoke to Elizabeth Hilger. So it's and they were talking a bit about the past experience for the past year and how they go forward. So let's have a look at his video.
Ms. Hilger, can you briefly just tell us in a nutshell what or how has COVID-19 impacted your business, your accommodation establishment? Can you give us a picture? Can you paint the picture of 2020 when COVID started, as well as now 2021, where everything is about the economy is a bit open?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, if you compare 2020 and 2021, when COVID started, when it hit our country as well, the picture is a very big difference now comparing to the 2020 when it started there around March until December. We lost quite a lot of clients, especially the tourists, because when COVID came, everybody was like freaked out, don't know what to do and scared in terms of moving and then even traveling and all that stuff. So we quite lost a lot, and especially it affected us in such a way that we couldn't run or operate the lodge as such. We had to make up arrangement whereby I got some loan to run the lodge, even in terms of paying social security or even paying of vet, and then some salaries of the employee, electricity and water, especially water and electricity. That was most important just to keep the lodge running. So that, comparing to this year, it has quite improved if I compare the two pictures. Now, right now, the lodge can be able to pay its own vet without getting a loan from somebody or from my partner. We are paying the salaries, the income, the little income that the lodge gets, we can pay salaries, electricity, and even social security, and even buying, especially maintaining the lodge. That the lodge is doing, it's covering those costs on its own. I don't need to go out to my partner again to borrow some loans for that. So the picture is quite different, and it's really a relief. And looking at the government, how it's trying its best, even to bring the vaccine to vaccinate, and even to make it easy for tourists to visit our country, although one needs to be tested, and then the issue of isolating yourself if you are positive and all that stuff. So our government, their best that they are trying, it's also making it easy for us, especially in the hospitality tourists, to operate on a safety, the safety of tourists, the little tourists that is coming in to visit our country. What is our arrangement in place? At least here and there you pick up some tourists, although not comparing it to the previous years, but at least this year they are traveling, not comparing to last year. This year you pick up some few. Although currently, right now, like Tambuti Lodge, we are mainly surviving on the locals. Local meaning Namibian, either it's the government that is traveling to visit projects or having meetings or workshops, and then some few Namibians who are using this opportunity, especially on the discount price. Namibians are really using this opportunity, especially in events like maybe the holidays and then public holidays, and these other days that some other lodges are saying that we are having this special for this weekend or this period, and they are really using that because it's also an opportunity for them to sleep in a luxury hotel, which they couldn't afford those years before, but now they are using that. So those little that they are traveling, we are getting some, so we are really honored for that. So I'm happy to say the little that I'm getting in, I'm sustaining the lodge. I can be able to pay the salary. I can be able to pay electricity, water, food, and the support of the client that is coming. No, I'm really happy for that.
Okay, but what are some of the current challenges that you are still facing that are not yet completely gone?
Yeah, it's in terms of the room occupancy, we are not operating on a fully booked basis, like all the rooms booked per day, or like in a week. For example, maybe Monday to Friday, you are only selling out maybe some few rooms comparing to previously. So this is it's not just a challenge for me, but this is nationally and international everywhere. So that we still need to work out, especially if maybe our leaders, whether in our country or worldwide, especially if a person is vaccinated against the COVID-19. Now, those people should be exempted from again testing and then maybe traveling, and then they say they must be isolated or whatsoever. But if a person prove the truth, the documentation which indicate that no, this person has been vaccinated against COVID-19, and this is the proof, or this is the passport. And then if they make it easy for such people, then maybe the tourist traveling, it will increase again, because they have made that access very easy. They come through, they present their proof that they've been vaccinated and all that stuff, so they don't need to be isolated, or maybe when the person goes back again, back into their country, they need to be quarantine or whatsoever. But if they can make maybe that process easy to exempt the people who have been vaccinated and the proof is there, then tourists can pick up again. Because if we say that, okay, COVID has come, and then the only thing that we can maybe take it out, people must be vaccinated, and then people are vaccinated. But whether you are vaccinated or not vaccinated, the treatment is still the same. That is still a challenge. Okay. So that's what I can say, that one of the biggest challenges that we are facing as a tourist industry, if a person is vaccinated, whether it's a local or a tourist, if those people are vaccinated and the proof is there, they show it, make it easy for them to come. Then we are opening again that border for tourists to flock into the countries again, because such a country have made it easy or exempted for people who have been vaccinated. They can travel through so long the documents are there. They don't need to wait again 7 days or whatsoever. You need to the border to do this and whatsoever. Just make easy for that. Then you can see that tourists again, it's coming, it's booming up again. So that's one of the challenge that I can say, which the government may be exempt or make it easy. Let's taste and see how it comes out.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Hilger.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, that was Elizabeth Hilger of Tambuti Lodge, giving you a point of view from people up in the north. This, by the way, is very close to Recon Africa's drilling sites. The site is, I think, no more than 50 kilometers away as the crow flies, the drilling site of Kavi. Like I said, roughly 50 kilometers, you would say, southeast of Rundu. So, but that's just by the way. And yes, our picture at the back today is still one of those pictures that Chloe made for us when she went up to the Caprivi, or these days the Zambezi region, some time ago. I hope you enjoyed the show, because this is the end of it. See you in another week's time. Until then, remain healthy and safe. I wish you a happy weekend, or nice weekend, whatever you want to call it. Nice, I know of people who don't like that word nice, but I as a German find the word nice quite nice. So until then, keep well. See you next week.